Hey guys, so here I am in quarantine, sporting my quarantine roots, and I've already finished Tiger King and pretty much every documentary and crime show on Netflix, so I have a lot of time on my hands, and we decided that we are going to create a new recipe today, and we're going to do an A1 steak sauce meatloaf on the grill, charcoal. So what I have here is 1 pound of ground beef and also a pound of, it's Italian sausage. A really good ratio for base really for any meatloaf would be 1 pound of ground beef, 1 pound of some kind of pork, and then you need 2/3 cup of some kind of binder. You can use breadcrumbs, saltine crackers. I am a Ritz crackers girl, so I've got 2/3 cup of that in here, and I tossed in some salt and pepper. Every good meatloaf also needs 2 large eggs and 1 large egg yolk, 1 onion, a 1/3 cup of parsley, 2 garlic cloves, and then you need about 1/3 cup of some kind of wet. A lot of people like to use milk. That's where we are going to incorporate our A1 steak sauces. I'm gonna dump all of this in here now, and Eric already got the grill going. That's my husband. He's the grill guy these days. We're charcoal people, it tastes better, and we're gonna try to actually get like a nice little smoke ring around this meatloaf. All right, so I'm gonna combine all of this into my bowl. A funny story about this bowl actually is my grandmother, she gave it to me when I went off to college, and I've had it ever since. It's been through a lot of moves with me. I use it almost every single night, actually. And I had my parents over for dinner one day, and my dad was like, "Where'd you get that bowl from?" And I told him, "Oh, your mom gave it to me when I went off to college with a bunch of other pants." And he told me that this is actually a bowl that he remembered from when he was a little boy eating at his parents' house. So I went online and thought, oh, it'd be really neat if I could get all of these, like a whole set of them, because I really like the color, and they're kind of expensive. So I just have this one and one other one that she gave me. All right, so I'm gonna combine all of this, form it into a loaf. I think it's really a better idea, whether you're cooking it on the grill or in the oven, to free-form it onto a pan instead of using a loaf pan. I know it's easier to just stick it into a loaf pan, but then you just get a really greasy meatloaf, and that doesn't sound tasty, does it? It sounds like cafeteria food to me. All right, so now we're gonna make the glaze. And again, this is just a generic glaze. You could use it on any kind of meatloaf. You're gonna need 1/4 cup of packed brown sugar, 1 cup of ketchup. I'm gonna shake it to get that weird liquid part gone. This is a really big thing of ketchup, and it's gonna be gone in a week. We have been eating so many chicken nuggets in my house. So 1 cup, that's half, get 1 more. Behind me in my cast iron skillet, I have 1 tablespoon of butter and 1 tablespoon of oil heating up, and I'm going to brown these onions and mushrooms for our meatloaf sandwiches. That's kind of a cool trick. If you mix oil with butter, the oil will keep the butter from burning, because we don't want that to happen. We're not looking for brown butter. All right, last thing, I'm going to do 2½ teaspoons of apple cider vinegar. I don't think people use vinegar enough in their recipes. It really, like if you're making a chowder or a soup, like a bean soup, adding a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar or red wine vinegar at the very end really takes your full meal to another level. All right, so I'll mix that up, and then I'm going to brown these while our meatloaf is still cooking on the grill. All right, so now I've got my mushrooms and my onions going. The real trick to making your mushrooms and onions get that like nice brown color on them is don't overcrowd the pan, because you don't want your vegetables to steam, you want them to brown, and get tender that way. So I've got them all kind of spread out, and I'm just letting them hang out there for a few minutes, and then I'll stir it around and keep kind of doing that. We like them really quite soft with that brown caramelized flavor on the onions. So I'm gonna keep on cooking those, and our meatloaf should be done on that grill here in a little while. We'll pull that off, and I'll show you how to slice it up. Oh, but first I am gonna go out there and put the first layer of glaze on it. All right, so now we're outside at the grill, and we've had our meatloaf cooking for really quite a long time. So this is definitely a Saturday or Sunday recipe, or a quarantine recipe, because we all have quite a bit of time right now. I'm gonna go ahead and put this glaze on it. It's pretty firm on the edges, but it's still a little soft in the middle, and I think that's because I was impatient and I was moving this around a lot and trying to like drain some of the fat off of it. So don't be like me. Don't touch it, just leave it there to cook. So I'm gonna get this glaze on here, and we're gonna let this cook a little bit longer until the glaze is nice and dark and it's caramelized on top of our gorgeous meatloaf. All right, so we're back. We pulled the meatloaf off of the grill. It looks really good. It's still kind of falling apart a little bit in the middle, and it's late, so we're going to actually just get past trying to stick this back on the grill to crisp up both sides, because I've got 4 hungry guys who are ready to eat dinner. I just pulled some Texas toast out of the oven, and I left it going at 425, because what I'm gonna do is use these as the bun, and I'm gonna slice up the meatloaf, put it on there, and then we're gonna top it with some of those grilled mushrooms and onions that I made earlier. A little bit more sauce, glaze, and I've got this Swiss and Gruyere shredded cheese that we're gonna, I like a stinky cheese. All right, so let's make these sandwiches. Oh, it's almost ready. That's Max. He doesn't like to wear clothes.
I got a photo. Here's me. Hello.
And that's my son Caleb. He's 5. And Max, how old are you?
No, I'm Joey. 2.
You're 2.
I'm Joey.
Max has a birthday coming up. How old are you going to turn?
I'm Joey the wolf.
Oh, okay. All right, so. After I get all of these sandwiches put together, we will show you the finished project. All right, so we're back now, and I just pulled the sandwiches out of the oven. I put the meatloaf on one side, I topped it with the grilled onions and mushrooms, and then on the other side, oh, and I flipped all of the Texas toast, because by the directions on the box, you cook it for 5 minutes, and the bottom is always kind of crispy. So I flipped them, and I added all of this onto the crispy side, so the other side got crispy with the topping. So on this side, a little bit more glaze, and some Swiss and Gruyere to kind of mellow out all of the sweet tanginess of the sauce. I have with me here Levi and Caleb. They are my sons and my taste testers. Shh. I'm the boss. All right, I'm just gonna make one sandwich and cut it in half for them real quick.
I don't want a sandwich.
Max doesn't want a sandwich.
I don't want a
All right, are you guys gonna do the taste test and tell everybody what you think of these sandwiches?
Sure.
Ooh, check that out. Yum. All right, ready?
When are we gonna?
All right, now the moment of truth. Was all of that hard work even worth it? Ready? Go.
Mmm.
Ooh, look at that stringy cheese and the garlic toast. Is it good? Let me get a bite of that, fella. All right. Oh, wow. So, it did take a really long time, but the barbecue flavor in the meatloaf mixed with a sweet and tangy kind of spicy sauce, it's really good. And then using Texas toast instead of buns made a really big difference. And I think think that they actually did really like it because they're still eating it past their first bite. Everybody stay safe and healthy during these hard times, and I'm going to try to post some more videos later this week, and I'm going to do a shopping list and meal plan for 2 whole weeks and try to spend the least amount of money I possibly can and still feed my 4 hungry guys delicious meals.